Hello, good afternoon, and welcome back to the World Monoposto Sim Racing Championship 2025. And round 10 brings us back to Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, a circuit that always throws up some drama and interesting races. And hey, guess what? Rain expected in the race. And also not the torrential kind that will only see us do 2 laps of racing. I mean overcast, light, difficult, awkward. There's going to be a challenge this afternoon. And performance of the top 3 teams might be closer than ever. In fact, it might be a top 4. But more on that in a moment. Now he's back from behind the producing desk. Welcome back, Robin Ciuman, to join me. Robin, good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you. Very much looking forward to this race and to being back on this side of the production team. Hopefully we'll have a very enjoyable race this evening. And you already introduced it nicely. Should be a very exciting one.
Oh, we hope so. And before we head out on track for qualifying, let's have a quick look at the standings. Lucas Murno extending his lead at the top after a win last time out in San Marino, ahead of Filip Puška and Pascal Polens. Polens missing today as well could be critical for the championship. Filip Puška really has to apply some pressure. Axel Flam now comfortably in fourth ahead of Gabriel Pekli. In the meantime, Alexander Knežević is the next person in line to benefit from a now missing Reuven Mešida. In terms of the constructors' standings, well, that three-way fight is as close as ever. Vanguard in the lead. Cesario, though, leapfrogging SCMM last time out. Can they apply the pressure, or can Vanguard hold on? They've been the most consistent all season, but Cesario and SCMM are right there. Holland Racing Team are looking to bridge the gap. They're in a bit of a no-man's land. Then it's a close battle for fifth between United Racing Club and Lucky Hamish. And then from seventh down, there's still a fight on between now and the end of the season for seventh. So, without further ado, let's head out to the circuit, as the cars should be going around on their out laps now. Remember, it is a 15-minute session. They get to qualify on quali fuel, so they can run light and run as many laps as possible. Coming round, Axel Flam is going to head towards the line and get us started. Straight into La Source. And as mentioned, rain expected for the race, however, only partly cloudy for qualifying, so no risk of rain. Everyone going to be running as fast as they can in dry conditions. We fire through Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time. Top speed, obviously very important around this circuit. Vanguard have typically been strong in this area throughout the season. As mentioned, Pascal Polens missing this afternoon. Very last minute pull out from him, unfortunately. And he's being replaced by Aaron Curtis this afternoon. Aaron Curtis is driving for Vanguard's sister team, usually, United Racing Club. And Curtis has had a really solid season for them, scoring 21 points. Was 9th last time out in San Marino. Has been 7th 3 times. Opened the season with his best result so far in 6th. So a really solid performer is Curtis, and it'd be great to see them in the Vanguard. And immediately there's been a grid place penalty handed out. Mateus Berardo overtaking in the pit lane, which is a slightly rash decision from him, and that's given him a 3-place grid penalty. But through comes Axel Flam to set the benchmark. See what this is going to be. So 1 minute 42. Got Aaron Curtis just behind. Murno has jumped ahead by 0.2. Knežević splitting the Vanguards. Meneghetti next, and we've got Kevin Peters, the team boss for Vanguard, who made his debut for them last time out. Now will drive for his sister team for the first time this afternoon. He qualifies just behind teammate Rustenmeyer. Here comes Filip Puška, though, in the SCMM. Second in the championship at the minute. And we'll hold on to that this afternoon with Poland's not being here. The question is, can he shut the gap to Lucas Murno? Comes Filip Puška, and that is a good start for him. 4/10 clear of Lucas Murno. I've got Frigoto coming to the line, and an unfortunate update from the end of the last stream. When we went off air last time, Gustavo Frigoto finished 10th on the road, but we knew those last few laps were going to incur some penalties, and Gustavo Frigoto in the end did not secure Bravo Snowshatten's first point last time out. Coming home 12th again, I believe, in the final results. Harley Self took 10th place, making it back-to-back points for Infernal Void. And there is Self, who is back in his usual seat in the sister team, Velocita Virtuale. And he's had a solid couple of races since the summer break, scoring back-to-back points for both Velocita in Hungary, and then last time out in San Marino, of course, as mentioned, for Infernal Void.
Yeah, also quick update on Kevin Peters, who is in the United Racing Club car. I talked to him before the race, and he told me that he will do a couple of laps in qualifying and also one lap in the race, but he's not really intending to compete today because he believes in these changing conditions. Infernal Void and Vanguard Engineering and United Racing Club will need someone on the pit wall to assist them with strategy, keeping them updated about the gaps. So he is intending to get a feel for the car, but he will go back to his managing duties after one lap, probably in the race.
Very good to know. Thank you for that, Robin. So I had an update from him last night, and you had a similar one, I believe, about Pascal not being available to race. But wasn't another interesting bit of information you mentioned is that it was so close to the two-time champion Yannis Volborn coming back to drive, and he was originally looking at stepping in to race for Vanguard Engineering today. However, every driver in this series has a virtual cost, and with Yannis Volborn being a double champion, that cost was deemed too great by Kevin Peters because he's thinking about the future, he's thinking about next season, about having the budget to fight consistently throughout the season, because while they've done an incredible job so far, obviously leading the Constructors' Championship, financially they are outgunned because they are a newer team by SCMM and Cesario. So he's thinking about having the financial clout to battle with them next season. So he made the decision to not have Yannis race, and obviously that's resulted in Curtis being promoted. And then, as you say, Peters having a little taster of his sister car this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the meantime, I think Filip Puška, Murno, and Laflamme all out there, intending to start a new flying lap. Interestingly, we also see on the server the fastest lap times that they have done in their preparation to this event, and I see 1:41 time. So I think this is not the end of it that we have seen with those lap times so far. So we expect the times to drop by at least half a second. And as we see, Lucas Murno has started a new flying lap right now.
Absolutely. Let's see how he's going. And immediately it's purple in the first section as he sweeps through Les Combes. Going to put the pressure on Puška. It's only 900ths of a second so far. Obviously, the first two races since returning from summer break, Scuderia Cesario have had a very good performance gap, and Lucas Murno has maximised that, looking very dominant. However, this afternoon, it is looking to be a lot closer. And I believe the reason for that is there's an allotment this season. Every car has 3 engines that lose brake horsepower every race through wear. However, it is possible to purchase a 4th engine at the cost of a 10-place grid penalty, as we watch Alexander Knezovic in a very lovely retro tribute livery this afternoon. And Knežević up to second. That's a great lap from him. Pushing Murnau down a place. Can Murnau immediately respond? Let's have a look. Through the final chicane. Towards the line. Laflamme has just gone quicker. But Murnau immediately up to second. But he's not dethroned Filip Puška. How very interesting.
And it's the medium sector for Murnau. He was 4 tenths down on Filip Puška. Fastest overall in sectors 1 and 3. These are the high-speed sectors, as Filip Puška bails out of that one.
Oh, and Gonzalez Cativo, his second appearance for Holland Racing Team this afternoon, getting a little bit caught over one of the United Racing Club cars. Oh, and I think that's a slight abandonment, and maybe Cativo now lining up for another lap straight away.
Yeah, that might actually be 2 laps in the bin, because he was compromised on his run towards the line there as well. That looked quite slow to me, actually.
And with such a long lap as well, it's really critical about getting your timing right for getting the maximum amount of laps and making sure you're getting your final lap in at an appropriate moment timed with the end of the session. So it's going to be very difficult to get it timed right when we are doing 1 minute 40 laps. In the meantime, Thiago Melo, his second race for Bravo Snowshatten, coming in as a new permanent driver after the summer break, up 1 to 20th. Yes, as mentioned, Cesario were going to take a 4th engine for Spa and incur the 10-place grid penalty, but obviously the power of a completely new engine, when obviously everyone's been using engines that have been slowly wearing down throughout the season. However, they did not make that change on time for this race. And that meant they were stuck with the engines they had last run in Imola. So not only have they not gotten the fresh engines in for this race, they are slightly down on power, which is why all of a sudden everything's a little bit closer, coupled with the fact that Cesario focused their upgrades on cooling rather than anything else, whereas other teams have focused their updates on drag reduction and downforce, compared with slightly better power management, I believe, in those engines. And all of a sudden we've got a slightly closer gap at the front. And what's more, Holland Racing Team have brought a raft of updates, and as you can see, Alexander Knežević is in amongst it. And they might be a factor into making it a top 4 as well. So we could be in for a very interesting afternoon indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. But considering what you just told us about the engine allotment and the Cesario engine being a bit down on power, it is still interesting that Murnau was fastest in sectors 1 and 3, which are the high-speed sectors. The technical stuff, which is there in the second section of this track, this is where Puška gained most time out of Lucas Murnau. So this could be very, very interesting in the race, and means that Cesario might have the edge on the straights, which usually is where you pass.
No, absolutely. And I can understand it from SCMM's perspective, because we've noted before that SCMM have struggled in a straight line and always kind of been better in the more downforce heavy sections, the more technical sections. But Vanguard not capitalizing, that is slightly more surprising. So we'll see if they've got any more in the tank. In the meantime, Gabriel Peckley's gone 2 tenths faster than Filip Puška in the first sector. Here's that aforementioned middle sector. They're struggling. Oh, Peckley, you're very wide on the entrance into campus. In the meantime, Puška, though, is about to improve upon his own personal best. Going to come across the line now, so we'll see if he goes straight into another flying lap. As anyone who crosses the line now, this would be their final lap. And it's an improvement into the 141s. But have the Cesarios fought back? Well, there's more indication. 1.4 seconds down Gabriel Peckley in the middle sector. I believe that's the other Cesario.
Yeah, he must have had a little moment there. 1.4, this is a bit much. But still, he improves up to P6.
In the meantime, Murnau behind. I think Murnau must be... has timed it, so this is now going to be his retort his final lap. He's got half a second to make up. Here comes Knežević, quicker in the middle section. This could be an interesting lap. Will he be able to get ahead of Murnau? Obviously, we know that Murnau's going to have a right to reply. Here we go, to the final bus stop chicane.
Could even be close to Pushka, depending on that final sector.
Yeah, how good it is. A little bit of a twitch, putting the power down out the final corner. It is up to second, and it is only a tenth away from Filip Pushka. Alexander Knežević getting up very high indeed. In the meantime, Murnau up by almost 4/10 in the first sector. It's about this middle sector, rocketing through Puon. Looks very tidy through there. Head towards campus. This is where Gabriel Peckley looked to have a little bit of a wide moment. That's much tidier by comparison from Lucas Murnau. Into Stavolo. He's down by half a second. So at the minute, he is net down by about a tenth of a second. But he has been quicker in this final section, this run through Blanchimont up to the final chicane. This could be close indeed.
No further improvement from Pushka. He's in the pits.
So this is for pole at Spa. Lucas Murnau towards the line. And he's done it. Incredible. By 500ths of a second. He finds the time exactly when he needs it. That is an all-important lap for Lucas Murnau. And the man who picked up his first podium and first win at this circuit grabs a pole here.
And look who snatched third. Aaron Curtis.
Oh, that's an incredible lap from Curtis. He looked like he was comfortably kind of just like settled into fifth. And Curtis only a 10th off pole. Brilliant lap. Brilliant lap from them. We are just waiting for the last few to come through. Comes Maximilian Jaeger. Also on a flying lap. Qualified all the way down at the back in San Marino. It's much better today. 9th for Jaeger in the Better Julia. Rustemeyer in the meantime improves to 13th. There's Thiago Melo. And I believe that is the last flying lap. So, Lucas Murnau with an all-important pole position. He knows he's going to have his work cut out for him this afternoon. And that is a hell of a way to respond. On pole position from Filip Pushka by 500ths of a second. Aaron Curtis debuting the Vanguard this afternoon. An excellent third ahead of Alexander Knežević. And a statement of intent from the performance as Gonzalez Cativo subbing in just in 6th, sandwiching Axel Laflamme. Gabriel Peckley 7th ahead of Maxime Berlioz, who is making yet another substitute appearance. I believe this is his second super sub appearance for SCMM this afternoon, with Maximilian Jaeger and Diogo Meneghetti rounding out the top 10. Paolo Bellamy just missing out on a top 10 spot in Magnum. Decent result for him. Mateus Machado is 12th, but as mentioned, will have a 3-place grid penalty, which will promote Dominic Rustemeyer and Jesus Alejandro Chirino for Better Julia, who is in this afternoon for Daniel Benton reader. Kevin Peters 15th, but as mentioned, will likely not be participating in the full race. Maybe will take the first lap or two. So that's good news for Gabriel Joubert, Harley Self, Jean Polaro, and Victor B, who will all inherit, as will Thiago Melo for Bravo Snow Shatton, who qualifies 20th, and then just behind him, his teammate, Gustavo Frigoto. And we are just getting an update. Race control confirm that one penalty will be Mateus Machado. There are other penalties, but those drivers are not present this afternoon, so we will have a much more straightforward grid compared to last time out. We have about 10 minutes until race start. There's a short warm-up, and we're going to have a short break, and then it will be lights out for what could be a very interesting race at Spa. Hello and welcome back to round 10 of the World Monoposto Sim Racing Championship 2025, coming to you from Spa, Francorchamps. We're expecting mixed weather conditions this afternoon at Spa, so this could be a very interesting race indeed. Race is about to start. We're just seeing the end of warm-up, but here is your starting grid for the race. On pole, a brilliant lap from Lucas Murno to snatch it at the death from Philip Pushka. Aaron Curtis subbing in Vanguard this afternoon with a fine third ahead of Alexander Knezovic in a much improved Holland Racing Team car. Axel Laflamme and Gonzalez Cativo occupy row 3. Gabriel Peckley and Maxime Berlioz, another super sub who has scored points for SCMM before, in 8th. Maximilian Jaeger in ninth ahead of Diogo Meneghetti. Paolo Alami alongside Mateus Machado, but Machado will have a 3-place grid penalty, so will actually start the race in 15th, promoting Dominic Rustemeyer, Jesus Alejandro Torino, and Kevin Peters. Gabriel Joubert is 16th for Lucamis Racing. No Denny Vella this afternoon, so he is by himself. Harley Self is back in the Velocita alongside Jean Palaro and Victor B of the Infernal Void. Tiago Mello's second race for Bravo Snow Shatton sees him start in 20th, and Gustavo Fragoto 21st. And you will see now cars popping into the grid. There is no formation lap, and we will be going racing for 43 laps in just a moment. It's going to be really interesting this afternoon to see how close things are between Murnau and Pushka, how good the race place is of that improved HRT, and what can Aaron Curtis do debuting in the Vanguard. Of course, Maxime Berlioz has been a very impressive super sub before, although last time it sort of came to an end in the Velocita with his first DNF. My mistake, but Maxime Berlioz didn't super sub in the SCMM before. It was the sister team Potenza, where he came 7th. But for now, let's find out. Revs go up, lights come on, and we are underway in Spa. A little bit of a concertina there, a little bit of buffering moment, but it's into turn 1. Lucas Murnau home to the inside. Both Vanguard side by side, both HRT side by side. Oh, but there's the car round in the background. That is Rustemeyer in the United Racing Club car at the back, who's gone round and lost the front wing. And through Orujan Radion, the first time. As it stands, Murnau leads from Pushka. The first look at how that straight line speed will go. And the slipstream's going to be powerful. Remember, no DRS, no push to pass. This is important for Philip Pushka. But Murnau manages to hang on just at La Flamme. Has gotten ahead of his teammate. And just hanging on. Knežević in the meantime, though, pushing really hard already. Peckley's gone up. Kativo's dropped a few places. Jaeger up to 7th. Oh, we see, I think it's like Knežević go alongside Curtis. Through No Name. As the rest of the cars cycle through. And Knežević has made it stick. Brilliant start. How racy is Alexander Knežević going to be this afternoon? This could be very interesting indeed.
But what a start from Axel Laflamme. From 5th, he made it to 3rd.
Oh, no!
He's run into the back of Pushka. Or at least there was contact. Pushka's round. And that is big for the championship and the context of this race.
That was a very odd incident. Wow, they seemed so close together then. How has Laflamme gotten up the inside? Like, we'll have to try and see if we can check that again. But what an odd moment. And Axel Laflamme, more contact again. He's had a few moments this season. Contact with other races. In the meantime, Curtis fighting with Peckley, doing an excellent job there. Knežević, though, benefiting. And Alexander Knežević now suddenly is the big benefactor.
Yeah, but I think the biggest benefactor at the moment is Lucas Murnau. He has already 1.8 seconds of a gap. And his main championship challenger is all the way down in 13th and out of the points for the moment. Peters in the pits, we expect that. And Tiago Mello in the pits as well. So I suppose it was Mello's or Rustemeyer's front wing, actually. But they're both in the pits at the end of lap 1. Peters has retired, just as we expected.
Absolutely. So it's going to be just Rustemeyer trying to get points then this afternoon. Here's what happened between Axel Laflamme and Philip Pushka. So, up towards campus. Oh, and it's like a half look there from Axel Laflamme into a bit of a gap that's always going to shut. And Pushka hasn't seen him and kind of shut the door and spun round. There's going to be one argument for a racing incident, and I'm sure there's going to be another for a penalty.
Yeah, actually, I think from what we saw there, might be a penalty for Laflamme. I think he was the rear wheels. He was with his front wheels barely alongside the rear wheels of Pushka, and it is not really a corner where you would see overtakes. So I think, yeah, you need to be really fully alongside to actually make it. And I think Pushka even left some space on the inside. But yeah, it's very unfortunate.
It is unfortunate indeed. We will see if race control comment on that soon. But as it stands, Murno leads. The gap is slightly coming down. And there comes the call. It is a 10-second time penalty for Axel Laflamme. So that can be served at pit stops. And if I remember rightly, the way you serve it is you kind of stop at the end of the pit lane for a moment and you take off 5 seconds a time. So if he has 2 pit stops, he'll have to serve it over the course of that. If it's only a 1-stop race, he will have 5 seconds added onto his time at the end. In the meantime, Gonzalez Cativo in this racy looking HRT causing problems for Gabriel Peckley. And most of the field have kind of split their starting tyre choice between hards and mediums. So we can see Cativo here on the mediums, Peckley just ahead on the hards. And the chances of rain are kind of all between like 25% and 35% chances of rain throughout the race. So we could get a real smattering. We could maybe get away with none at all. It's going to be hard to predict and hard to see. And remember, there's no intermediate tyre, just a wet tyre. So it's all about managing the crossover between when you switch or indeed switch back should the rain come. Evo. So reeling in slowly through Blanchimont, but not going to be close enough to make a move this time around. Trying to keep the pressure on. Out of the bus stop chicane. Looking really close again up to La Source. Keeping Peckley honest at the moment now. Has to be said. As is Knežević for Murno. The gap is holding there. It's certainly not going up. Cativo, though, is very close for Rouge and Radion. If he can manage the dirty air, he's going to be tucked right up under the rear wing as we head down the Kemmel Straight, and he is. He's going to step out. What's the straight line speed like when he's out of the slipstream? He's side by side. He's been forced to the outside, and Peckley defends this time around. Down towards Brussels. Few movers and shakers behind. Pushka already back up to 9th, so making good progress after that early moment. Still very much a shot at the podium for him this afternoon, but the race might just have gone unless a safety car helps bring people back together. In the meantime, Harley Self is out. And we have a retirement there. Self, who scored, like as mentioned, points in the last 2 races. Once for Velocita and once for Infernal Void. 2 sister teams, but not this afternoon, unfortunately. He's out for Velocita.
The gap at the front between Murno and Laflamme still holding steady at 1.5 seconds at the moment. There must have been an overtake as well, as it was Knežević who was in second all that time, and now Laflamme set the fastest lap of this race, so it's going to be interesting. Oh, and there's some lap traffic in the way of Lucas Murno now on the approach to Eau Rouge.
I guess that must be Rustermeyer, who was caught up in the first lap chaos. But yeah, very interesting, because Knežević was the one who was like 1.4 seconds away. Oh my goodness. And yeah, okay, lag there. Maximilian Jaeger. Deary me. So Pushka has now managed to make his way through them, but Jaeger's going to try and come back at him. And the SCMM straight line speed, as mentioned, has been a little bit of a bugbear in the past. Jaeger doesn't care that Philip Pushka is fighting for a championship. Jaeger takes him back into Les Combes. And Rustermeyer has been given a 5-second penalty for an incident in T1. So it's not the best afternoon for him. Now the lone hope for United Racing Club. There's the penalty for Laflamme being shown on screen. But this will frustrate Philip Pushka. Be losing time behind Maximilian Jaeger. Oh, he's got his teammate for this afternoon, Maxime Berlioz, just behind. No further action on that incident between Pushka and Jaeger. Pushka is absolutely going to try again on the run through Blanchimont. Going to try and send it around the outside of Blanchimont, so he'll be on the inside for the bus stop chicane. And that's very nicely done indeed. Will Jaeger try something back? Not this time. Oh my goodness, both of them though look like they were really having to stamp on the brakes to get it slowed down. Good work from Pushka. Can he hold the gap and stay ahead? So obviously, the run down to the Kemmel Straight is very powerful indeed. Or will Maximilian Jaeger be slightly preoccupied with Maxime Berlioz instead? Through Rouge and Radion we go once again. And it looks like it's going to be defensive manoeuvres for Jaeger. Here comes Berlioz. And to the inside. And this might be job done for Berlioz as well. And in the space of a few corners, both SCMM cars shuffle up one in the order at the expense of Maximilian Jaeger, dropping to 10th.
Yeah, interestingly, Jaeger not really putting up any defense there into Lecombe. Almost waving him by. I think he knows that this might not be his fight to pick. In the meantime, Gustavo Frigoto, who had an amazing start, stayed clear of all of the chaos that unfolded on lap 1. He's been close to the points after lap 1, but now he's being shuffled down the order as this weekend Bravo Snow Shatton most likely the slowest car of them all, and Gonzalez Cativo is out of the race, and this is very sudden. That might be a disconnect then.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there was any form of incident there. That's such a shame for Gonzalez Cativo and indeed Holland Racing Team. They've got the performance this weekend, as noted by the fact that Alexander Knežević is now coming back at Axel Laflamme. We're not sure how they ended up switching places, and Laflamme was able to kind of initially inherit second without seemingly losing any time to Murnau up ahead. Maybe it was a mistake from Knežević, but he's coming back now and is putting all the pressure on Laflamme.
Yeah, it really looks like Knežević can go quicker now. Laflamme has lost 1.5 seconds over the last couple of laps, and here we go towards Lecombe. Knežević has that inside line, but he has to duck out of the slipstream, and as soon as he does that, he's losing on a straight compared to the Vanguard.
We're seeing quite a few teams struggle with that in terms of they tucked up under the rear wing, they get the slipstream, but then they just don't have the power when it's kind of neck and neck and both cars are in kind of just normal air. And it's going to make it difficult with no DRS, no push to pass. It's going to be a struggle. In the meantime, Jean Palauro for Infernal Void is coming up to Frigoto. Frigoto was initially pressuring B, but now Palauro is the one applying the pressure. They go side by side into Lecombe. Frigoto, very brave, hangs it out around the outside and keeps the place. That is some dogged defending and very well done by both of them to keep it out from each other. Great bit of wheel-to-wheel action from those two.
Yeah, we've seen some amazing defensive drives from Frigoto so far. It's just a shame that the car is just not where they want to be. But he has shown some incredible wheel-to-wheel skill. As Philip Pushka picks up another car.
And also,
Paolo Willami.
It is. I was just about to say, he has snuck into the top 10 without really kind of too much fuss. Magnum obviously not having the greatest of seasons, and they've not really been attending lots of the races with a lot of their drivers missing it. But Willami had a solid qualifying and now has clearly steered clear of the action in the top 10. Let's hope his race pace can keep him there, but he was always going to struggle against a recovering Philip Pushka, who's now got Gabriel Peckley in his sights. And here comes Knežević again for Laflamme. Ducks out at the last second. And brilliant, tidy move into Lecombe. And Knežević back through. Gap up to about 3.5 seconds to Lucas Murnau. Can Knežević now shut that gap? It is worth noting that both of these guys are on the medium whilst Murnau's on the hard.
Yeah, and this is now, the middle sector is now absolutely crucial for Alexander Knezovic because he needs to build a gap now. Because as soon as they come back to the Camel Straight, maybe even on the run towards the bus stop, this is where the advantage will swing back La Flamme's way. And this is unfortunately Gustavo Frigoto having to let by another car. This is Jesus Alejandro Chirino, who's
And
up to 13th.
standing in for Daniel Benton Reader this afternoon, and this is a solid debut performance for Chirino. And obviously, if there is chaos ahead, being in 13th isn't too bad a place to be, so you can get into that top 10 and the all-important points. In the meantime, Palauro is still... Chirino has been able to get past both Palauro and Frigoto, it seems, whereas Palauro is still trying to find his way past
La Flamme in
Frigoto.
the pits. La Flamme in the pits.
Oh, and that is a very early stop indeed. There's no rain at this point in time. Is this just to serve a bit of the penalty and get it out of the way? It is. Very interesting. So he's not even changed tyres, as far as I can tell. He's literally just gotten 5 seconds of his penalty taken off. Unfortunately, he's not been able to come back out ahead of Filip Puška, but he will certainly have a go as they now go through nose to tail. Please, not more contact between La Flamme and Puška. Puška's already working his way back up from the initial contact between the two. And Puška bails out. La Flamme gets ahead.
Now, I don't quite understand why they would do that, to be honest, because he lost much more than 5 seconds right now. So this honestly leaves me a bit puzzled. Or was there a bit of miscommunication?
I don't know. My only possible thinking is get 5 seconds taken off, but also it puts La Flamme back in the path of oh, it wasn't Puška, so it was Bolio even. So it's not even, it won't even help in terms of delaying Filipčka because Puška's up the road. So I'm not sure. I'm genuinely not sure. Paul, to answer your question, so I believe, because this was kind of addressed back in Kyalami when there were a lot of penalties given, the 5 and 10 seconds is a time to be added to the end of your race time if you don't serve it during the race. However, to serve it during the race, you have to essentially go in the pit lane, stop for a moment at the end of the pit lane, and that will take off 5 seconds of the time. So you don't have to physically stop for 5 seconds, which I know is a slightly odd way of doing it, but that is how it is handled in the competition. At least that's my understanding of it from when we talked about it in Kyalami, because there were people who were stopping for 5 seconds, and then we watched other people clearly not stopping for 5 seconds. But that is how you can clear 5 seconds from your time. You just stop at the end of the pit lane. In the meantime, Bellamy trying to come back at La Flamme, who's just gotten by, but not this time. And La Flamme now is going to try and move up. Maybe he's anticipating a one-stop race otherwise.
I actually have an update from team boss Kevin Peters. By the way, this explanation of how to serve the 5 seconds was absolutely spot on. This is what has been decided after Kyalami and has been clarified. Now, actually, and we seem to have missed that, Axel La Flamme got a drive-through penalty for track limits. So this is handed out by the game, so we don't get a call from race control as there is contact on Palauro. And no, actually, that was Victor B. Sorry. And Chirino trying to get by, and they kind of tangle there in Lecombe. Let's see what they will say about that in race control. Yeah, so La Flamme, additionally to his 10-second penalty, got a drive-through penalty as Puška is now trying to find a way past Gabriel Peckley. So already Puška back into the top 5, trying to make that a top 4. He will get a good opportunity up the Camel Straight. But just to finish the point of La Flamme, so he served the drive-through penalty for track limits and 5 seconds of his 10-second penalty at the end of that drive-through. So he still has a 5-second penalty to serve at his next pit stop.
Ah, okay. So I did actually spot, said penalty for Laflamme come up from the game. Sometimes that is... Oh, what a tight move from Philip Pushka. Very brave until he calm. Has he made it stick? He's going to try and swoop back across Peckley. He hangs on. And he is through this time. And he's trying to lose as little time as possible. 17 seconds up to Lucas Murno. But back up to fourth already. This is a good recovery from Philip Pushka. And yeah, clearing Peckley. And obviously the Cesario struggling in the middle sector. This is his chance to break free. Yes, the graphics showed penalty Laflamme, but sometimes the graphics show when that's come from race control as well. Didn't assume it's from the game, because it's incredibly early for a track limits penalty as well, as the two Infernal Voids go wheel to wheel down the Kemmel Straight. Palaro is taking on B, different tyres, different strategies, but Palaro is past B. B is struggling. B has secured their best result this season of 5th. Back in Hungary. Afternoon doesn't seem to be going in the right direction at the moment. In the meantime, Maxime Beaulieu is coming up to Paolo Willarmi. Beaulieu is going to get sent to the outside. That was a little bit of a squeeze there. And Willarmi's in. This might be a pit stop for Willarmi on the medium tyres.
That might be the first scheduled pit stop that we see today.
I believe so.
So this is looking more like a 2-stop now for Paolo. Jubad's in as well.
Indeed. So, Willarmi has put on the hard tyres. Interesting update, though. He's put on those hard tyres, but we now have a 5% of rain from our timing screen. At the minute, track wetness is still at 0, so at the minute it is still essentially dry conditions. But if it does continue, wet tyres might be the issue. And these guys stopping now to get another dry tyre out the way might be in vain, especially with the hard tyre as well, because they might have to stop again.
Yeah, and what a shame that would be for Willarmi, because he was running so well. In the meantime, Alexander Knežević is eating a bit into that gap. It's below 3 seconds again. 2.5 now, actually. There's a bit ebb and flow depending on where they are on the track. But Knežević, with those mediums, still going strong and still going at least at the same pace as Lucas Murno ahead, and he can still see him.
Absolutely, and you can also see a few little speckles of rain on the HRT car. So this is going to make it very interesting. The crossover period and how the different cars then perform in wet weather. And as we noted, you know, the SCMM and HRT seem to have a little bit of the edge through the more technical sections. When rain comes, the Cesario is going to struggle, and will Lucas Murno actually then have a bit more trouble? But then again, the skill of the driver also comes into play so much more in wet weather as well. This is going to be very interesting.
I'm just putting it out there at the moment. Alexander Knežević's best WMSC finish is P4, which he achieved 3 times. For the first time, Bahrain 2024. Then again, Italy 2024. And this year, again, in Italy. So he might go a bit better today, missing out on the podium very closely 3 times. Today, at the moment, it looks like this is going to change.
Certainly got the performance. It's just about race management from here and avoiding any mistakes in changeable conditions. But it's a very good start indeed. Obviously, you mentioned Willarmi. It's a shame that, you know, if he stopped, but then the rain comes and knocks down the order. But at the very least, Willarmi has at least still come out in the points. So still something to fight for, and has got a decent gap to Alejandro Chirino. But now track wetness has increased, so it's going to be very gradual. If it remains at only 5% rain, it's going to be a very slow changeover. But certain parts of the track will start to become a little bit more troublesome. Especially watch out for the curbs as well. Just take one wheel in the wrong place and things could change.
But I think at least until that rain is not increasing, the racing line will remain fairly dry. It's just as you mentioned, if you go offline, that could be very, very treacherous. But for the moment, I think they all should be very fine still with those slicks.
Absolutely. In the meantime, Gustavo Frigoto is about to engage in battle with Diogo Meneghetti. Frigoto has been perilously close to points for Bravo Snowshat on several occasions this season. Thought he'd finally done it until a penalty meant he would miss out last time in Imola. As it stands, the performance isn't quite there for them today. They are slightly struggling, and it definitely seems like across the Kemmel Straight, the gap to Meneghetti is increased. I think very much relying on Frigoto's ability to drive through the twistier sections.
Speaking of gap increases, Knežević now down 4.4 seconds. His last lap was 1.2 seconds slower than Lucas Murner. There might have been a bit of a mistake then for Knežević, but this gap continues to go up. It might also be that he has hit a very, very difficult point now in terms of tire life. He has the softer option, so he's on the mediums while Murner is on the hards. And there might be a difficult decision to make for him very, very soon, because those mediums might be nearing the end of their lifespan. And then it is a bit of a gamble on which tire you will change. Do you go for another slick, or do you wait how the weather develops and risk losing more time? So this is a very interesting point strategy-wise now for Alexander Knežević.
Yeah, very much so. And like you say, with Murno being on the hards, he's got more time to think about it, as does Philip Pushka and Gabriel Peckley. They should very much still have plenty of life in their tyres compared to those medium runners. And yeah, again, it is just 5% rain, 5% track wetness. So it should be manageable still for now, for those on the dry tyres. I do think Knežević maybe is, because of how hard he's been pushing maybe as well, dropped off a cliff slightly with those tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I see.
And Thiago Melo has just been given a 5-second time penalty from race control for ignoring blue flags.
The lap times for everybody are dropping quite dramatically at the moment. So
full course yellow. Full course yellow just been called from race control. And there is an extended yellow flag in Sector 1. I wonder who that is for, or what that is for.
Yeah, again, the pits. I think this is now a time to pit, but this will be very crucial. The track wetness is up a bit. The lap times have dropped significantly. And this is Gabriel Ciuman on the Kemmel Straight, actually.
Surely that has been dueling with someone. I'd be very surprised if it's been lost on his own there. Juba, who was Juba up with? Well, I think we're about to see who Juba was up with. Fighting with, is that Mateus Machado, I think, in the Potenza. Moving out. And, that's interesting. I think that could be deemed a late blocking move there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it looked a bit odd. It might also have been a bit of a connection thing, that they were closer than they thought they would be. But definitely, I think they tangled front left to rear right. And that put them both into the wall. But there was definitely a bit of movement from the Tenza, so I think it might have been Diogo Meneghetti.
Yes,
I
you're
think
quite
he
right.
was around there. Let's see if this is upgraded to safety car. For the moment, we still remain at code 80.
And then very interesting in the transition to the code 80, Knežević, the gap between Knežević and Murno has come down by about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Which we have seen before. Sometimes that's on someone being maybe too conservative when slowing down. And it's going to be upgraded. We will have a full safety car. So the pack will be brought together, and that makes it very interesting indeed. Pushka's now back in the mix. Knežević is now back in the mix. What will everyone do with tyres? There's been no
Jaeger is on
change.
wets. According to my timing screen, Maximilian Jaeger has changed and is on wet tyres now.
Yes, I think that looks the same for me. So he's taking risk. No one else has at this point. So it's now been changed into safety car. So everyone is now going to race around to catch up to Lucas Murno, and Lucas Murno will set the pace. We have Sciarino, Meneghetti, and Frigoto in the pits. A couple of cars a lap down, so I imagine they will be allowed to unlap themselves as well. But in comes Murno. So now it's interesting. Murno's on the hard tyre. He might still have life in them. He might be okay. What does he go for? Knežević in as well. How did they gamble?
This safety car now came just at the right time for Knežević. Maybe 1 or 2 laps too late. But now they're all forced to make a pit stop and to make a decision.
This would be very interesting. The top 4 are all in. Murno, timing screen for me says wets for Murno, wet for Curtis, not for Knežević. It says Knežević has gone for the hard tyre. That's what the timing screen is saying. Graphically, we know we do sometimes have a little bit of a catch-up. So we'll just make sure that that is correct. But it looks like Pushka's gone for the medium tyre. It's a proper split between those top 4.
And this has brought him right back into contention. If that is the right decision, he is on the fastest tyre at the restart.
Rain's just gone up to 15%.
Well, and that is very bad news for Knežević and Pushka now.
That might have come at just the wrong time. So
penalty for Bolio.
Oh, that might be, if it's given out by the game, that might be lane speeding for him. So that's going to be a drive-through for Maxime Bolio. That's going to dent his chances of points. But the Infernal Void sat just behind him will be quite happy about that.
Oh, Machado hasn't pitted, so Machado has actually just stayed out there on the hards. So he hasn't made that decision yet. He can still do that now.
I did wonder if there'd be any that would try and risk it, and then obviously the benefit if the weather goes the other way. But hey, my timing screen still says wets for Lucas Murno, despite what it says there. Well, we do usually have some of these issues with it. I think that's going to update. I think Lucas Murno is on the wets, as is Curtis.
Well, now in the well, I'm not sure actually. I thought I also saw blue wall tires for him, but now they're white, so it's... Well, we need to wait and see.
Well, a very interesting split there. And, I understand why Knežević and Pushka have gone for that. But the rain does seem to be going in that other direction.
Also, Paolo Villami has not gone in during that safety car period. He still is on that one stop where he changed for hards. So he might drop down again. Because we do believe that the increased rain will make the wet the tire to be on right now. But it still says hard for Murno.
It does. Usually we don't have this long of a gap of discrepancy between our timing sheet and what we can see on our screens. But we shall wait and see. Gabriel Schubert has now retired the car. Sciarrino has also retired the car.
Oh.
Alejandro Sciarrino, who was running, just outside the points and quite solidly. But unfortunately, Sciarrino is out. Rustemeyer and Mello are now being allowed to unlap themselves. So the field will stay to the right. Oh, more cars coming in the back.
In the pits, I think. He's missing. Yeah.
Knežević has decided to switch, and it's Puška. Puška hasn't, though. Puška's going to stay strong with it. Oh, this is so costly for Alexander Knežević. He's going to go.
Also.
Yeah, he's going to go right to the back of the queue. So now the only car on dry tyres in that top 10, in fact, the only car on dry tyres that is still in this race is Filip Puška on the mediums in third. Just after he's managed to work all that lost time back, it might be about to go away all over again. Right, here's what happened to Jesus Alejandro Sciarrino. So this is clearly still under, unless this is them trying to catch up.
This looks like a disconnect.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate for him.
So I suppose our timing screen is right, because I can't imagine that Murno would not have stopped.
Rustemeyer has been asked to unlap himself again. I'm not sure what happened the first time.
He might have been in the pits. I think the call came for Rustemeyer before they went past the pit lane, and on the timing screen it looks like he was in. He's on 3 stops already. I think he did one in the first lap. May have gone for a slick then, but I think he was in the pits. And then got back was at the back of the queue again. Because Mello was behind him.
See, this slow period is going to essentially help that dry line disappear even quicker. Tyre temperatures are going to fall. Even though rain is still at 15%, track wetness is now varying between 40%. So obviously that for everyone on the wet tyres, it makes it the right decision. Obviously, Knežević losing out because he didn't make that call to begin with, so we'll have to work back through from 11th. But Filip Puška on those medium tyres, what do you do? Like, you're going to lose one way or another. It says Palaro there is on the hards. I don't believe that's the case. I believe Palaro is also on the wets as well. Because as you can see, Murno has updated to be showing the wet tyre when there was a delay for him also. So yeah, Filip Puška is kind of damned if he does, damned if he doesn't at the moment.
Yeah, but I think he has to come in. I mean, look at the spray here on this part of the track. It has just gone up again, 15 to 40%. And I think at this point, he's just risking a DNF if he stays on the medium, because he might spin out. He's a danger for himself and the others around him. So I think, yeah, it was a gamble. It did not pay off, and I can't imagine that he will actually try the restart with that medium.
So unfortunate for him. Obviously, the incident with Laflamme, knocking down the order, not his fault, and then just the wrong decision, which is, you put it down to bad luck. You don't know. It's a gamble.
Maximilian Jaeger was the first one to stop on the wet. I just wanted to make that point, and I think Puška is going in. Maximilian Jaeger is running in a podium position at the moment. He made the absolute right call by stopping early on the wet.
Yeah, and it's fallen into him perfectly as well, because obviously spending so much time under the safety car as well. So, safety car will land at end of this lap. So Puška is going to have to shift to get back on the end of the queue. We've still got 15th and 16th, Mello and Rustemeyer, trying to catch up with the queue themselves. They have been allowed to unlap, but obviously they're not on the end of the queue because it's such a long circuit. But we're not going to wait too long for them.
Beaulieu has also been in the pits in the other SCMM.
I wonder why that is. I thought Beaulieu was already on the wet tyre.
Yeah, he was also according to the timing screen, but I don't know why they would pit them both. Maybe a bit of damage for Beaulieu that they will try to fix now as well with this opportunity, but yeah, this is a bit confusing.
Oh, there's some penalties now coming. Meneghetti will have a drive-through for an incident with Ube. Murno has a 5-second time penalty for ignoring race control on pit exit. Walami will get a stop and go for dangerous driving. And Rustemeyer will have 5 seconds for ignoring race control on the pit entry. So Murno, and to be fair, I think I actually saw this but didn't clock it, on the exit, drifted out over the white line. And obviously it's given in race control's notes about where you should enter and exit the pit lane on those white lines. Very clear around this circuit. And Murno has just drifted over and given away a very silly 5-second penalty. Now, if he doesn't have to stop before the end of the race, it will be added to his time, so he could easily try and create that gap. But if the weather changes and he has to stop again, it will be a case of having to do that little stop on the end of his pit stop. Could that be costly for him?
Yeah, absolutely. I think right now, the ones that were matching him pace-wise, so I think that would be Knežević and Puškar. Luckily for him, they are out of the picture for the moment because they have got it wrong on strategy, which will make them even more furious than they are probably right now. But yeah, this could be very costly in case they should not have to pit again, and when there is a safety car to the end. So this is something that you don't want to have dangling over you.
You don't, and Lucas Murno is not wasting any time. He puts the hammer down very early on the run up to Blanchimont, and he's making sure that Aaron Curtis is not going to be attacking him down the Kemmel Straight. How will this Cesario and Lucas Murno do in wet weather conditions? It hasn't looked the best in terms of like the more technical sections. It's about to get very technical indeed. We resume racing lap 20. Just shy of the halfway point here at Spa. It's a very expertly taken restart by Lucas Murno. No issues for him there. Quite a spread out field, it has to be said, on the restart. I don't think anyone's going to be in a rush to duel in this early stage as they kind of acclimatise to the new conditions.
Yeah, it was surprisingly clean considering the conditions.
And Lucas Murno, 2 seconds already ahead of Curtis. Laflamme, though, not wasting time and has managed to get himself ahead of Jaeger.
Knežević passed Meneghetti at the same time, and there we see the end of that move.
And Puškar's already managed to get past Walami. And I imagine he's going to be looking for any opportunity to clear Frigoto as soon as possible.
Yeah, Frigoto in his favourite position, 11.
Frigoto, just so, no matter what happens, it still seems like he ends up just near the points at some point during a race. And Laflamme was given a warning. I think he may have been a little bit aggressive in his moving past Jaeger. But it's just a warning this time. But it's both Vanguards in the top 3. And while this is looking good for Murno in the Drivers' Championship, Vanguard, remember, do still lead the Constructors. And they are currently maximising by having those two in the podium position. So this is still very strong for them in that regard. Oh, look at how close Puškar is. It must be so frustrating thinking he can carry more speed through Stavolo. And surely now this is the opportunity to open the taps up. Frigoto doesn't fight this one too hard. And now Puškar is going to go chasing down the top 10 to get back in the points. And he's got to do it all over again for the second time this afternoon. Certainly not a boring one for him. That much is true. In the meantime, Knežević is past Palauro. Both Infernal Voids in the points, both Potenzas in the points at the moment. And well, that didn't last very long. Meneghetti has gone into the pits. I think that'll be to serve his penalty. In the meantime, Knežević is now once again going to be hunting down Gabriel Peckley.
Villami also in the pits. This is also to serve his penalty that he got for dangerous driving.
Oh, and that was Peckley alongside Jaeger up ahead. And he's made that stick into Les Combes. But it is now Cesario and Vanguard occupying the top four. But look at how quickly Knežević has now joined these two. The spray is very big indeed. Maximum track wetness is up to 60%. And boy, can you see it.
We can, huh? The drivers in the car don't know what they see at the moment. This is very, very uncomfortable, surely, especially for Knežević right now, being so close to Jaeger on a part of the track where you don't really often see overtakes. The Flam tried, and we all know how that ended.
I think it's having that little bit of patience just to wait to get the power down out of turn 16, and then as we saw Pushka do on the last lap, it's going to be the run through Blanchimont. He's going to try and go around the outside. I don't think there this time. Is it going to be a brave move on the brakes into the bus stop chicane? Here comes Knežević. Oh, they leave each other the space just. But Jaeger holds on for now. And they'll run again into La Source. Oh, and it's a bit of a squirm there from Knežević. That hampers his progress slightly. Worth noting, Pushka already up to 9th, has made quick work of Fragoto and B. Sorry, of B, I should say. He inherited the place from Meneghetti pitting. And through Arouge and Radion we go. Knežević has almost had to back off a little bit from Jaeger there. It's going to be a run down the Camel Straight. And that is timed to perfection. And nicely done through Les Combes. And Knežević back in the top 5.
But Jaeger is doing really well. He didn't get unsettled by Knežević putting him under pressure through the second and third sector there. He's just driving his race cleanly. He knows these are the guys. He does not have the pace to compete with them. Yeah, he just doesn't make any mistakes there right now. And that has lifted him over the competition that he's facing. Usually, Peckley must have had a bit of a moment because this is Knežević and Peckley going side by side through Pouillon. This is exciting stuff, and Knežević has made his way through. Oh, this is where La Flamme and Pushka tangled, and it almost happens again.
Oh, apart from that little contact, though, very good racing between them, and they're still side by side. But Knežević hangs on. And as you say, yeah, must have been a mistake from Peckley because he was onto the back and into an overtaking position very quickly. And Knežević up to 4th, currently matching his best ever previous finish, but still time. And he's definitely got performance this afternoon to do better. So he's going to go chasing the Vanguards. And here is what happened to Peckley. So into No Name we go. Is it just on the curb on exit? It is. Oh, feels it going. Does at least catch it. But obviously so much speed and momentum lost there. And no further action on the contacts between the two of them. I think they handled it quite well. Now Pushka is up to Jean Palauro. He's already taken Mateus Machado. And Pushka on his second recovery drive of the afternoon. Out from behind Palauro. And through. Still might be opportunities, there still might be incidents, still might be safety cars, and obviously, if the rain does die down again, in terms of the forecast, we are expecting it to peak at around the halfway point of the race, but then die off towards the end. So this, in theory, might be the peak. However, it is just a forecast. The rain might stay this heavy till the end of the race. We just don't know.
Also, Paul Muller in the chat, how are you doing? Both Infernal Voids at the points as it stands.
Great to see Jean Palaro in there. But he can hang on. As is Victor B, who is going to have Maxime Berlioz giving him some company very soon as well. I think that's Gabriel Joubet, in chat. That was the unfortunate incident between him and Diogo that saw him out of the race and causing this safety car. Here comes Pushka, though, on Jaeger. Very quick work to get up to the better Julia. A little bit of a slide there from Jaeger. His best finish has been 2 10th places so far, Maximilian Jaeger. So even if he loses this spot to Philip Pushka, which does seem quite inevitable with the way the SCMM driver is charging, still a chance for his personal best result this afternoon. But as Paul Muller says in chat, there is a long way to go indeed. Pushka down the Kemmel Straight, up the slipstream, looking to the inside of Lake Com. Hopefully this can be as straightforward as possible. And it is. Jaeger doesn't fight that one as hard as he was fighting earlier in the race. Pushka out.
His fights are starting now. Palaro, Machado, Berlioz. These are the teams that are also better. Julia is battling in the Constructors' Championship. So, yeah, I think now this will be the moment to fight should Palaro close that gap.
Absolutely. Berlioz has managed to get past Victor B. That is 2 SCMMs in the points. Important for keeping them in touch in the three-way constructors battle. And Curtis, is, while losing time to Murno, has kept a consistent gap to Laflamme. Aaron Curtis really putting in a strong performance, stepping in the vanguard this afternoon, it has to be said.
Yeah. Leaving his CV at Kevin Peters' desk there for a Vanguard promotion. Lucas Murno, in the meantime, has created a gap that is over 5 seconds to Aaron Curtis. Thiago Mello is very close to Rustemeyer there. Towards Blanchimont they go.
I think that's Meneghetti, actually. Meneghetti is coming up to Mello and has just made the move. Almost pushing Mello through. Mello's going to try and send it back up the inside. I would say that is slightly brave. I think there's a little bit of contact on entry. Meneghetti stays ahead, but Mello's now going to be in the slipstream. I think Meneghetti might make it stick this time. Both of them squirming for grip through La Source.
The rain has decreased in intensity. We're back to 5%. Track still has not changed in terms of wetness.
This is going to be interesting if the rain does start to die off. I'm going to be looking out for that dry line and about if and when it's appropriate to switch back.
I think this will take some time because we're very, very far away from a dry line, as you can still see there.
Plenty of spray. Just going back to Aaron Curtis, obviously, if Aaron Curtis was looking for a seat for next year, they've certainly put in a good performance to kind of maybe ask questions. But It's not a headache that Kevin Peters has to consider, as we had some news just after the end of the last race in San Marino that Lucky Hamish is going to be owned by none other than Harley Self, taking control of the team and will be driving for them. And Self will be partnered by Aaron Curtis. So it's a new team for Curtis, a new team for Self, and a new project for Self as they will look to build on what's been quite a promising start for Lucky Hamish Racing, kind of coming in start of the season with one driver and no livery, but scoring points and very much in the midfield battle. So hopefully, with two set drivers who have both scored points and had good performances in WMSC, they can kick on from there in 2026. And what that does is leave a space at United Racing Club, and it's essentially a straight swap as Denny Vella will go to United Racing Club next year to partner Dominic Rustermeyer. So very good signing. United Racing Club, while their performance hasn't been quite as solid in these last couple of races, for the most part have been very consistent in the points. But Denny Vella in that car could be a very good combination indeed. In the meantime, we see Laflamme go wide at None and clearly having to let off the power to avoid a track limits penalty. Knežević, though, has reeled in Laflamme. And the hunt for that elusive first podium is back on now for Alexander Knežević.
And he's still just 10 seconds off Lucas Murno at the moment. And Murno will have 5 seconds added to his time at some point.
Yeah, if Knežević can continue this wet weather pace, so they're both very tentatively over the curb there while trying to put power on. Could easily be a recipe for disaster. Yeah, this could suddenly get interesting for Alexander Knežević this afternoon.
Also, we have absolutely no idea how long these wet tires will last. Even if the track stays wet, will they have to switch for another set of wets? We don't know, absolutely. So, yeah, this race still far from over. This will be a bit of a difficult task now for Knežević. They're taking very different lines there through La Source. Laflamme very wide. Knežević very tight. But Laflamme got the better run out of it. Now the slipstream kicks in.
There's clearly a bit of understeer there for Laflamme. That did kind of quell the momentum briefly for Knežević, but the slipstream does kick in down the Kemmel straight, but he's being forced to the outside. Oh, very close. There is contact. There's a little bit of contact. There's contact again. And I think Laflamme has had to let that one go for fear of another penalty. Knežević through. I think that was very close racing in these conditions. And Knežević up into third and will now go after the other Vanguard.
Oh, it looked like a classic modern Formula 1 battle. Both drivers cutting the corner. And if we had team radio, they'd probably be both complaining about each other right now.
No, absolutely, I bet. And just to note that F1 rules of engagement are not in play here. All the time, you do still have to leave a space. So I think a little bit of a contact and wet weather playing a part in that particular duel. And Laflamme has not gotten away with it. Race control has given him another 5-second penalty. So that means, if I remember rightly, his total is back up 10 because he'd only served one.
Well, he was in the pits for the wet tires, so it might actually. I presume he has served it there.
Ah, yes, okay.
So he's back up to 5 now.
It's a roller coaster afternoon. And as it stands, even if he doesn't stop, he's got the gap Pushka, but that is Philip Pushka, so Pushka might be charging down. And Pushka past Peckley. And almost completing that recovery once again. But it'll be a very frustrating afternoon for Philip Pushka, thinking he very much could have had a chance to win this. Unless there's some other intervention in terms of safety cars or weather, might just have to settle for fighting for podium at the very most.
Oh, the rain has stopped. It's not raining anymore.
It is, and what is quite interesting is you can already see a little bit of a dry line appearing. Note, it won't be dry, it's just drier than the rest of the track comparatively. Our radar says 15% minimum wetness, 60% maximum. Still puddles, as you can see, in certain places on the track. But now, with it not raining, everyone will be keeping an eye out for how that dry line develops. Certainly a little while off yet, but there could be a spanner in the works towards the end of this race.
Well, and then I think, should the track dry out, we might be close to medium tire territory. We saw Walami made it 12 laps. But I think it will at least be 3-4 more laps until you could even think about changing onto a slick.
Absolutely. In the meantime, we join Matheus Machado, who is reeled in Jean Palauro, and Maxime Berlioz is right behind him as well. So we're about to see a bit of a three-way fight for 8th place. Berlioz, who had a bit of a nightmare time last time out in the Velocita, has returned to his more high-performing super sub ways. Looks to score points for a third different team in WMSC. Scoring for Optimal Potenza already.
Palauro already going defensive into the bus stop. Well, he might have compromised his exit there. Let's see if Machado already has a chance into La Source. But I think the sensible thing is to wait for the Camel Straight, because otherwise you might be vulnerable on that very long run towards Le Combe.
All of them, though, clearly struggling, applying throttle out of the corners. But it has worked out, I would say, pretty well for Machado. Very close in through Arouge and Radion. Has had to back off a little bit from the dirty air. Oh, but actually, he's not considering the move at this point. Palauro is almost kind of off the dry line to keep the tyres wet at this point. And Machado was more concerned about Berlioz. Down through No Name we go once again. Run down to Puom. I think all of them being very tentative. And Diogo Meneghetti has been given a 5-second time penalty for an incident with Fragoto. Which is just behind this group. But all three of them will, I imagine, being quite tentative at this point in time. Obviously, they're all in points positions, which, you know, these guys will all be happy about, especially Palauro and Machado, considering, you know, Infernal Void and Potenza, it's not always guaranteed points for them every race. So they will want to not do anything too rash. La Flamme is in the pits.
Ooh, that is early.
It is early indeed, especially when you consider that the rain might be stopping.
It's picked up again. It's picked up again. 5%.
So it's a 5-second time penalty, so he's going to stop here. There we go. The stop, the go. He's going to lose out to Jaeger. I think he's just going to get back out ahead. Stays the right side of that line. Which is something that Lucas Murno didn't. So it's not too bad, losing just the one place. Also, it would have been 2 places, I think. But at least not getting sucked into this battle with Palauro, Machado, and Berlioz just behind. And just behind, I think, Machado is closer to Palauro. There's Fragoto in, Mello also in. They're going to double stack. Mello's going to lose a little bit of time here.
So this is actually very, very interesting. I'm going for a new set of wets. The rain has picked up a bit again, but yeah, just after it stopped for a couple of laps, and the wetness of the track has gone down a bit.
Obviously, Bravo Snow guys also going for wets as well. I'll be hoping the rain does persist. Hardo was briefly ahead of Polaro. Polaro is back ahead. They did switch positions. Oh, and we've just been told incident between Hardo and Polaro, no further action. So they had a moment and clearly had to switch back around. In the meantime, Curtis stopping. So those wet tyres are finding their limit.
Yeah, this is interesting. I'm keeping an eye out now on the lap times of Lucas Murno and Knezovic to compare them to Axel Laflamme. Of course, we will have to wait for another lap because this is not really a flying lap. There's still the out lap of Laflamme that is still going on. Peckley now in the pits as well. So they're all kind of reacting towards what Laflamme did. Or actually, it is really that those wet tires are just going off a cliff at the moment.
Yeah, and obviously, if the fact that it had previously stopped raining, maybe they would have stayed out. But the fact that the rain has kind of picked back up again, they feel safe in kind of making that call to just getting themselves some fresh wets. And in the long run, it will be the smarter call.
But I still think this is a bit of a risk because we had like 2 laps without rain, and visibly there already was a much drier line forming, and we still see that one. So the wetness has not picked up again, even with the rain starting to fall again. And I feel that we see a lot of drivers leaving the racing line at some points to get a bit of water on those tires to cool them down again, as Curtis did right there. So yeah, I'm still not sure about this call because if it stops raining, Murno and Knazovic might have a big advantage. But yeah, it's all just guesswork at the moment. Short yellow flag.
Indeed. Oh, and Murno is in, so Murno will serve his 5-second time penalty now. Will Knezovic stay out or follow in? This will be interesting to see.
So Murno's last lap in free air was a 2:03. Alexander Knezovic just said a 2:03.7. Let's wait for Laflamme, who will come round for his first lap in clean air in a couple of seconds. And let's just compare that. Ooh, Axel Laflamme has done a 1:58.3, so this is 5 seconds quicker.
Oh, we just had a warning from race control. Mahado and Polaro warned to keep it clean, and clearly that's cost them both, as Berlio has leapfrogged them both and gone up to 8th. Yeah, this will be interesting now for how quickly these guys can get these new wet tyres turned on. And obviously it's great for Knezovic now in the net lead, but as you can see, I think the gap is already coming down. Knezovic is going to have to come in, and will probably need to think about coming in sooner rather than later because he will lose more than he stands to gain.
Yeah, 5 seconds a lap is massive. So he absolutely needs to react right now. He will have lost out at least 5 seconds to the Vanguards, and that has indeed made the hunt for the podium much, much more difficult. Look at that. Murno might already pass him on track.
Curtis is speeding up to Pushka. Look at how quickly, like, Pushka's having to tiptoe, whereas Curtis is flying. In the meantime, here comes Murno versus Knezovic. Yep, as you call, and he's got the grip around the outside. Oh my goodness, that could have been a big accident then. So Knezovic will stay ahead. Oh, but is he surely he's going to want to go in the pits? No, he's not this time. Whether he wanted to or not, he couldn't. So he's going to have to do at least one more lap, and I think that's going to cost him quite a lot of time, especially with how quickly Aaron Curtis is coming up, because he was close to Curtis. He was only a couple of seconds behind Curtis. But after Knežević stops this time, the gap to Curtis will be a lot more. And I think, if anything, we'll end up behind Laflamme again.
Yeah, you will absolutely. Laflamme just set another 151.6, whilst Knežević last lap was a 203.7. So 5 seconds a lap. I don't understand why he did not pit there. I mean, even backing out of that fight would have cost him much less time than what he's losing by doing another lap on those old wets. And the rain is still falling lightly, but the track is not drying out quick enough for him.
I think Pushka's in a similar situation. I'm not sure why Pushka hasn't decided to go in. And oh my goodness, that was very well left. It was a very bold move from Curtis. Brilliantly done. And Curtis is about to disappear up the road without further thought.
Knežević might even drop behind Peckley.
It's a very real possibility. I think Pushka, Pushka's losing so much time as well.
Peckley was the fastest car on track that last lap, 157.8. So surely Knežević, if he stops now, is coming out behind Gabriel Peckley.
He's not dueling anyone on track this time around. He's about to fire through Blanchimont and approach the bus stop chicane. Let's see what he does this time. With 11 laps to go, about to be 10, he's staying out.
I mean, they are gaining 5 seconds a lap on him. I imagine Curtis will have caught him by the end of this lap.
So that was
Pushka, well, he will not catch him. He's also on those old wets. Laflamme will take 2 more laps. I think Pushka might have come in now. Yeah, he did.
Yep.
And Peckley might take 3 or 4 laps to be close to Knežević. I don't think whatever he's trying is not going to pay off.
The only thing you can hope for is if the rain does stop, it dries out. But the thing is, it's still lightly raining. And even if it were to stop now, it's going to take a good few laps for that crossover period. I think it's at the point where he needs new wets.
Yeah, or a safety car. But this is the only thing that can save him.
Pushka, in the meantime, out in 6th. And will look to try and fight his way back into the top 5 once again this afternoon. But again, I feel like it's a few laps too late for him. That's really cost him.
So unfortunate. Knežević might have even had the pace to win this one. But on strategy, it's all gone wrong.
Yeah, it was the wrong choice to the dry tyres initially. And then this decision to stay out here on the wet tyres. Fallen the wrong way, and there was a window of opportunity with Murno's penalty, but he's cleared that. And you have to say, this is a fine afternoon from Lucas Murno. You know, his wins this season have come when the Cesario has had a clear performance advantage. Obviously, he still had to make the most of that, and on all those occasions, he's put it on pole and won the race. But this afternoon, he had to really dig deep to get that pole lap, and then with varying conditions and pressure from Knežević and Pushka, he has managed to hold on. Obviously, a slight bit of luck that Laflamme and Pushka had that early contact, which meant Pushka wasn't able really to kind of sustain a challenge for him. But otherwise, Murno has just stayed cool and made the right decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Today he faced opposition. I mean, Pushka was very unlucky being taken out by Laflamme on the opening lap, and he had to fight back the whole afternoon. Also, he did a few strategic mistakes. But yeah, I mean, Knežević was a challenge for Murno. Pushka might have been one for Murno, but he also made the absolutely right choices strategy-wise. Look at that. Curtis is almost, it's like, and now Knežević, big moment there. These tyres are completely dead now.
And this is it. The gap is now less than 4 seconds to Laflamme. It's going to be incredibly easy because the tyres are only going to get worse for Knežević.
But Curtis almost had to stop at the Bruxelles hairpin. Curtis almost came to a complete stop. He was not expecting someone to go that slow there. So yeah. But Curtis, again, they're having an absolutely fantastic afternoon. I would not have guessed that Curtis is fighting for a podium. He's not even fighting for a podium. He is definitely on that podium if they don't make any mistakes now. And they have beaten Axel Laflamme, a WMSC race winner.
To come in, to step in, very last minute as well, because it was only, I think, yesterday where it was confirmed that Pascal Polans wouldn't be racing, to switch cars and deliver such a solid performance as Knežević finally comes in. Yeah, brilliant performance from Aaron Curtis, and he's currently on for their first, I believe, their first podium ever.
Yeah.
In WMSC, and what a result that would be. Laflamme into third, making it a double podium for Vanguard if things can stay this way. Pushka is obviously going to be pushing as hard as he can. In fact, he's managed to get past Peckley, so he's caught and passed Peckley very quickly. Knežević will come out behind them and will try and chase back into the top 5. But a costly decision there. Rain's gone back up to 15% as well. So it is very much going to be wet weather till the end of this race now, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I think he might have had at least the chance to react on what Pushka was doing, Knežević, but this is now the worst possible outcome. Holland took a gamble, but that one absolutely did not pay off.
No, absolutely. So Knežević fighting for the top 5 now, it seems. So I think Pushka, who has also has a fresh set of wet tyres, be difficult to catch at this point. And if anything, he's going to see what he can do to get into Laflamme, but Laflamme also on new wets as well. We'll cast an eye with the laps ticking down. We cast an eye further down in the top 10, from 7th down to 12th. As Peckley and Knežević are already trading places.
Yeah, I think they must be close on track.
And Knežević is already trying to immediately get back past Gabriel Peckley.
Pushka's already put 5 seconds on him.
Got about 6 to Laflamme up ahead, and Knežević is now through past Peckley. In the background, I think he's just under braking into the bus stop chicane. Knežević is going to be pushing hard to try and still, in the time remaining, maybe get 4th. But he's going to have his work cut out, that's for sure. Yeah, in the bottom half of the order, so obviously we've got Jaeger kind of leading that group after briefly being up in 3rd, has now managed to hang on to 7th. Machado, Palaro still quite close to each other on track. B's back in the top 10 because Bolio has made a late stop, but obviously Bolio is going to be now charging on fresh wet tyres, so it'll be interesting to see how far back up through this Palaro Machado change again. I think that's Machado's going in. So this is interesting, these late stops now. It gets to the point where it's like, do you kind of risk holding track position because you're limiting how long you've got to kind of fight back then? Bolio has switched as well. Bolio has already passed B.
Pushka is still on for a podium. He's the fastest car on track right now. Last lap he was 4 seconds quicker than Axel Laflamme. And he's just 2 seconds back.
You can see him. There he is. All of a sudden, a podium. might be on.
Yeah, Pushkin's even 3 seconds quicker than Myrna. I mean, that gap is too big, but I mean, depending on how quick he can clear Laflamme, he might still have an opportunity to finish second here.
Which would be. Oh, Laflamme's
Laflamme's
in.
in. Are the wets again dead? That is curious.
That is very curious. Was it the running they did when the rain was only at 5%? Has it worn them out incredibly quickly?
The thing is, 204 lap times were when Knazovic was being reeled in by everybody. Now Laflamme is setting exactly these times when Knazovic was staying out for so long. Is it actually some sort of big brain move there by Pushkin Knazovic to save one pit stop? Because they are still... Well, Pushkin's last lap was a 2:01, Knazovic 1:59, Myrna is doing 2 minutes and 3 seconds, Curtis 2 minutes and 5 seconds.
Yeah, interesting. The wets might be dropping off the cliff again. It's very fascinating in the way the tyre wear has dropped now on these. While that's all happened, Maxime Berlioz, who went into the pits, came out 11th, is already 8th, having passed Meneghetti, B, and Polaro. As far as I'm aware, on the road, Machado pitted, which has pushed them down the order for now. So, yeah, they're getting some massive tyre offsets here. Currently, Axel Laflamme is a holder of the fastest lap of the race as well. So we'll get a point in the fastest lap race. Oh, Mateus Machado has just been given a 10-second time penalty for an incident with Gustavo Fragoto. So Machado, who spent so long fighting in the points, is now suddenly out of it. And that means both Infernal Voids back in the points. The Polaro and B could be double point scoring this afternoon if they can stay out of trouble. The closest car behind them is Diogo Meneghetti, and there's 10 seconds between them on the road.
Knazovic is very close to Pushka. The podium might still be on. I am very sorry, Alex, for doubting you.
Yeah, this might have been a big decision. And it's all come clear. Peckley's in. They'll Laflamme back up to 5th. Pushka and Knezovic are together. They must be just up the road. In comes Peckley. Oh, and Knezovic must be so close. There's only 0.3 between them. He must have had a look at the Kemmel Straight. And we now go through the twisty middle section.
But their lap times are also they're getting worse and worse. Curtis 2:05. Pushka's last lap was a 2:02. Knezovic 2 minutes flat. So the wet tires in these conditions, they must be horrible to manage.
No, it seems like it. We did say going into it, we're not sure how long they're going to last, but I think we both expected them to have a slightly more durability than this. Knezovic is now again going to bide his time through Stavolo. Get the power down on the run towards Blanchimont. And that elusive first podium might suddenly be back on. In the meantime, while we look at how everyone's managing it, Lucas Murno has still been able to open up a 20-second gap. And yes, his tyres are going off as well, but he'll be able to come out and hold track position.
Yeah, absolutely. And Murno, I mean, he is not fighting anyone, so he was able to maybe take a bit more care of the tyres. He was pretty consistently in the 2:03 window, which wasn't great, but last lap for the first time he missed that and did a 2:04.4. As now, this is the next opportunity for Knezovic to get back on the podium.
Here we go, down the Kemmel Straight. Oh, he's a little bit further back, though, on the exit from Eau Rouge and Radion. I don't think it's going to be this time.
Yeah, also, the last lap time of Pushka was a 2:03.2. But still, they're 3 seconds quicker than Curtis. This could be a grandstand finish. This might be a three-way fight in the end for P2.
I mean, dare I say 4? Because the last lap, Axel Laflamme was 2 seconds quicker than these two. They're going to be losing time fighting each other. Could 4 cars concertina together by the end to fight for these final 2 podium positions? If Laflamme can keep the pace up, it's not without the realms of possibility, especially if these two are going to start dueling.
I thought when they all went in for their second set of wets, okay, that's it, race over. But this is a twist that is absolutely unexpected right now.
So, can Knežević make it work? Remember, Puška stopped. Did Puška stop after Knežević?
No. Pushka stopped, I think, 2 or 3 laps early. This is why he is ahead in the first place,
yes.
because there was a big gap on the road. Knežević stayed out long.
Oh, they crawl out of the final chicane. There's Curtis just up the road.
Curtis, high 2 minutes and 5 seconds. Pushka and Knežević, high 2 minutes and 3. So again, 2 seconds they gained that lap.
It's a 2-minute 1 for Axel Laflamme. So he's also gained 2 seconds on them. Oh, Joe, very much across Radion there. And Knežević, though, he's tucked behind. Oh, my goodness. Look, let's him go together, but actually Knežević is through. I really lost them in the spray for a moment there. It looks like they both moved to the left at the same time. Knežević reacts well, goes back over to the racing line and sweeps through. Knežević is on the podium. And now, can he move clear and put pressure on Curtis? Curtis is right there.
Also, the track is wetter than it's ever been throughout this race. Knežević must have also gotten a warning from the game for leaving the track there at Radion, because I see he's on an out lap on our timing sheet, and that usually is the indicator that the lap time was deleted and there was a warning issued. Yeah, as always, but for new viewers, still the track limits are policed by the game and penalties are handed out automatically. And look at the pace that Knežević is able to go now that he's in clear air. He's already all over the rear wing of Aaron Curtis.
That's so immensely quick. That's crazy. And Knežević, that decision that we were thinking, why has he stayed out so late? Well, he's proved us both wrong comprehensively, because now, as he comes to start the penultimate lap, he could be back on for second place. And Curtis and Puška will have to fight over the final podium spot. It looks like Laflamme is just going to be too far back to get involved in this fight. Here comes Knežević. A lap after getting past Puška. Same again for Curtis. Through Eau Rouge and Radion. Much tidier exit from him this time. Has he got the power? And the straight line speed. Going to pull out. And similar, it's a copybook move. Swooping round on the racing line. Knežević up to second. And surely that's a first podium for him now. It's all going to be about if Filip Puška can get back on the podium, or if Aaron Curtis can hang on for their first podium.
Also, that would be the first Holland podium of the season. We were so used to them being on the podium, and now it's taken them until round 10 this season to get a car there.
And remember, they started the season without scoring any points at all, which was the first time that happened for Holland Racing Team. And to date, oh no, see, it's happened twice this season, I should say. Also in Hungary, where it was a double DNF. But now, the performance is returning, and Knežević has driven incredibly well. Now, interestingly enough, Victor B has done a late stop and is outside of the top 10, but will be on fresh wet, so might still have a shot at getting past Mojado. And if I remember rightly, does Mojado still have a penalty overhanging, I think, as well?
I'm actually not sure. He just passed Polaro.
He has done.
Well, this is now the last chance for Philip Puška. But Aaron Curtis, I don't want to imagine how they feel. This is a golden opportunity for a podium that they might not get anytime soon again. A first podium. And they just need to hold on for it. 7 kilometers, maybe only 6 now. This is the most critical bit, and the gap is actually looking quite okay there.
Oh, and immediately goes to break the toe. And I think there's going to be enough this time around. So it's an all-important middle sector now for Aaron Curtis, because there might be a last-ditch effort through Blanchimont towards the final bus stop chicane. Curtis just has to be as tidy as possible. It's clear that Puška has the advantage on tyres. Just don't put a wheel wrong. Because look, Puška's wide. Puška isn't perfect himself. In the meantime, Lucas Murno, who we were expecting to have a real fight in his hands this afternoon from Filip Puška and Alexander Knežević, honestly has not put a wheel wrong, gotten all the strategy calls right, driven perfectly, and it's going to be 3 wins in a row. Lucas Murno, a fine drive, wins in Spa.
Back-to-back wins in Spa as well.
It is. He said he liked it here. First podium, first win, now back-to-back wins, and what a result. Oh, Puška wide at the most vital moment. That's ruined the opportunity. Curtis just needs to keep it on the road and get the power down. Puška tries to send it up the inside. Curtis, apply the power. Knežević across the line.
Well,
Curtis hangs on.
Made it.
Unbelievable. What a drive from Aaron Curtis. Filip Puška, who's had to do 2 recovery drives this afternoon, still managed his 4th. Laflamme home in 5th. Gabriel Peckley in the other Cesario, steering clear of a lot of the drama. However, Maxime Berlioz, again, returning to super sub status, will now score points for a 3rd different WMSC team. And important points for SCMM to keep them in touch in the constructors' fight. A solid drive from him. In the meantime, the big strategy call of the afternoon arguably came from Maximilian Jaeger, the first person to be on wet tyres, timed it perfectly. 8th place for him. After a pretty torrid time last out in Imola, that's a great bounce back.
Yeah, also best of the rest outside of the top 4 teams.
Meantime, Mateus Machado will come home 9th. Cannot remember if they still had a penalty, but I think with the gap on the road, they're going to be okay anyway. And Jean Palaro, though, what a result for Jean Palaro. That is a first point this season for him. His record this season, Jean Palaro, coming into today, was 8 starts and 6 DNFs. So to come in and master the wet conditions and come home 10th, that's a great result for him. Ahead of Meneghetti, teammate B, Rustemeyer home 13th, having to recover after a very awkward first lap. Victor B's just been given a 10-second time penalty, but that doesn't affect the points paying positions. There's an incident with Rustemeyer, but this is your top 10. Lucas Murno wins ahead of Alexander Knežević and Aaron Curtis. 2 first-time podium sitters this afternoon, ahead of Philip Pushka and Axel Laflamme. Gabriel Peckley sixth, ahead of Maxime Beaulieu, who returns to the points for SCMM. Maximilian Jaeger eighth, ahead of Mateus Machado and Jean Palauro, rounding out the top 10. Diogo Menabueti ahead of Victor B. Victor B, though, has 10 seconds, so I believe will be dropped down at least behind Dominic Rustemeyer. Then it's the two Bravo Snow Shattens of Gustavo Fragoto and Thiago Melo. Paolo Villami ended up a lap down after running in the points early on. Shame for him. And then we come to our DNS, which is Jesus Alejandro Chirino, Gabriel Hubert, Gonzalez Cativo, Harley Self in the Velocita, and Kevin Peters, who voluntarily DNF'd, was doing essentially recon as the team boss of United Racing Club and Vanguard. So, we will await the arrival of the top three. We will speak to them all, but what a result that is for the two first-time podium sitters. Who do you pick as driver of the day? Because there have been some great drives there, it has to be said.
Well, I think this time it's much more easy to pick one. It's actually difficult to decide for one, but I think Alexander Knazovic has to be driver of the day today because he made the strategic mistake at the beginning, not switching onto the wets, but then he proved us all wrong when we were thinking, what is he doing? Why is he staying out there? And then he recovers from sixth to second because waiting was the absolute right call. I think it has to go to Alexander Knazovic, but also Aaron Curtis. What a performance there, and keeping cool on the pressure for the last 2 laps from Philip Pushka, who is one of the big names in WMSC. So not easy keeping him behind in these conditions, fighting for your first podium. So I think Knazovic is driver of the day, but Curtis a close second.
Absolutely, I think I can't argue with that. Like Lucas Murno has driven brilliantly, Curtis has driven brilliantly. Even Pushka, to a certain extent, having to do 2 recovery drives and still come home fourth. But obviously, Pushka didn't help himself with the dry tyre decision earlier in the race as well, and also left it quite late on the wets. But that turned out to be more of the right decision. But yeah, Knazovic just superb performance. And we are just waiting for the top 3 bonus. They're in the waiting area. We will wait, as before, for the magic hands to move them over.
Actually, it will be a return to the virtual commentary box for Alexander Knazovic, who did a couple of commentaries in the first season of WMSC in 2023 with the two of us together. So, it will be very nice to welcome him back here in a different form this time.
Obviously, Alexander Knazovic was with Scuderia Cesario last season, Murno's teammate. He spoke to me and said he was frustrated. He liked the car, but just wasn't getting out of it what he could. I felt like something was missing. But then obviously the big move to the Holland racing team comes around. Originally looking like it was going to be him and Walborn together. But then obviously Walborn retiring. And now after some tougher moments this season, has finally resulted in his first podium. Yeah, will be very good. Speak to him. As you can see, Max Heyman, Scuderia Cesario team boss there in the comments. Very happy for Alex on the podium. Absolutely. I'm sure you're very happy with your driver this afternoon, who has driven a stellar race once again. And the top 3 are now with us, and we will start by speaking to Lucas Murno. Lucas, congratulations. We were expecting a much closer fight this afternoon with you, SCMM, Vanguard, and maybe even HRT in the mix. You really had to pull it out of the bag for that pole lap. Let's start with that, because it seemed like Pushka just had the edge on you all the way through, and you managed to find something on that final lap. Were you expecting to be able to nick pole, or did you knew it would be fine margins?
Well, hello. Yeah, it would be by far margins. I got a great timing with Peckley on track because I helped Peckley to make his lap, and in the end, he completed his lap. He gave me slipstream to me, so the teamwork were quite valuable in qualifying, which was very crucial to the start. And the start of the race as well, I was worried about the slipstream, but I could make a very good first corner, which was enough to stay in front. That was the most crucial thing. And in the end, the race had gone very well, all perfect. The car felt really good, even in the rain and on the race and the drive. So the car went perfect today, and I very happy with the result. But I have to keep an eye for the next races because Holland's wake up finally. So it's good to see Holland's racing again, and nice to meet new people on podium. So 2 new people, which I'm very happy with that. So that enforces the competitiveness from the second part from Belgium and on. And I had to bring myself to a good spot, and some things happening that helps, like Axel spawning Pushke as I saw in my view. So in the end, I could make a very solid race in the end and bring a third win in a row. So let's see how the wheel goes for the next part because it will be critical everything.
No, absolutely, and yeah, obviously you got a little bit of luck behind. Obviously, like I say, that early incident and enabling you to get free. How was managing the wet tires? Because it seemed like lots of people were struggling with wear on those wet tires in the latter part of the race. How did you find kind of the switch over to the wet tires and then keeping them in the window?
Oh, it was just becoming in the look at the and who would risk because the wet tire is quite like a soft tire on 2030. It's quite high the wear, so it would be critical to look who will stop first. Since I brought a lot of gap in front, so we could stay on look and who would stop and gain time. So it's all about keeping an eye on the race, on racecraft and everything, and bring a good performance to be in the end because 6 or 7 seconds on in the worn tires is quite a big gap. So in the end, we had to bring a good point. And there's a moment that the track went dry. When the rain stopped and we come back the rain again, that would be a perfect time to stop again and bring the good performance and go to the end. So yeah, those things. The race was quite strategic, and timing would be was important on this race. So it was a good one. I want to congratulate Knezev Alexander and Aaron for their first podium. That was a great race from them, and let's see for what will go on.
No, absolutely. Congratulations, Lucas. 3 wins in a row, back to back at Spa. Brilliant result. Very well done.
Thanks.
Alexander, to you, welcome back. As Robin mentioned just before you came on here, obviously back in the commentary box, but this time as a driver. You had the performance this afternoon, but you very much had to work for it. How was the car out there? Because that HRT car was looking very good under you this afternoon.
Thank you. First of all, it was good. I mean, we knew it from before the race already that it's gonna be competitive up front. Sadly, I had the weaker engine. Gonzalez had the stronger one, but still, we knew if it's gonna rain, it doesn't matter that much. Quali, I got surprised by Aaron with that P3 on the grid. That was really strong up front with Pushka and Lucas. Yeah, I mean, business as usual, but I honestly expected Pushka to be on pole. He seemed very strong, but Lucas pulled one out of the bag. And yeah, at the start, I was careful. I think I let Axel through in the first corner, just didn't want to have any incident. Then, yeah, he spun out the SCMM of Pushka. And yeah, I think, pace was good. He overtook me. I thought he can maybe catch Lucas, but he just destroyed the tires, and I needed to overtake back. Had a touch, I think, with him. I don't know how many penalties he got. Yeah, and the biggest mistake. It was a mistake on the strategy part. We just didn't expect it to rain. It just started as I got out of the pits, and it started raining hard, and needed to go in again. And from there on, it was catch up. But I managed, stayed out at the right point. There we salvaged the race. I think it would have been hard to challenge Lucas today. I would have been somewhere near, but to win, I think it would have needed a miracle even for me.
Yeah, I think obviously you were on the back foot with the unfortunate kind of decision of dry tires and the wet, which obviously it can go one way or the other. You can make that call on another day and it can fall your way. It seemed to come back around in terms of tire calls later on though, because you'll see back when you watch the VOD, both me and Robin were thinking, oh, you stopped so late. It looked like you were staying on to the end for these wet tires. Both of us underestimating how much those wet tires degraded in the final sector, to the point where obviously you were in a really good position. You had the benefit of the tire offset in those final few laps to make up those places. Was that like the conscious decision in your mind with stopping later, as late as you could on the wet tires in the final phase?
Yes, I think I was probably the guy who tested the most this race, as well as it's going to be a little pause for me for a few races now because of personal reasons. And I knew exactly how the tires behave. I knew that you can pull out 20 seconds with a fresh set. And we decided to do the opposite to Aaron. He pitted, I stayed out. Then it was a question if we're going to go for slicks. I think I heard that Paulo went onto the slicks, didn't work out. Then it started raining, and then it was clear we need to go in for wets. And when it's raining stronger, the wets almost don't degrade. So I had 90% left at the end, while Aaron probably had 50% or something. So it was a conscious decision, and it paid off in the end. So we salvaged it in the end. Yeah.
And just on that, when you say you're missing a few races, is that on testing, or do you mean you'll be missing the next few races?
Yeah, I'm not driving because I'm moving country. So I'm moving away from Germany to my home country, so to say, to Bosnia. So I can't make the next few races. But for the last 3, I will be there again in November. So Silverstone and I think Baku, I won't be racing. I'm not able to. Yeah.
Well, best of luck with the move, and what a way to sign off temporarily then. And we'll see you back in the car in November then. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And finally to you, Aaron, congratulations first of all. So am I right in saying a very last minute call up to Vanguard for you today?
Yeah, that was like on the Saturday actually that I got the call up because Pascal wasn't there. Yeah.
And obviously, was that your first time in the car as well? Were you kind of adjusting to the car for the first time yesterday then?
Yeah, it was my first real proper time in such a high car. I'm sorry for mixing up my words. I'm still I'm still in such a shock that I'm in the podium, but yesterday and today that was my first time in the Vanguard, so I'm glad I got on well with it. Yeah.
And so obviously you qualified well and have ended up on the podium. What was kind of your own personal expectations coming into today?
Just survive, maybe get a top 5. Honestly, that was just my expectation for it all. And then we did the strategy right. The setup was good, and the last pit stop we did for the Reds, that I think that helped us just secure P3, even though it was really tight at the end with whoever it was behind me. Sorry for forgetting your name. But yeah, I just don't know what to say. I'm just
I mean, I do not blame you whatsoever to be having to then stepping into the car and then taking this opportunity. It's incredibly well done. It was Philip Pushka behind you. Just talk us through that final lap, because obviously you had Knežević first coming through with the clear tire offset, knowing that you only had a lap and a half left. Yeah, how much nerves were you trying to hold together for that final lap and a half?
I was holding back a lot of nerves, I'll say that much. Like, I knew when Alexander passed me, I was just like, okay, just calm myself. I just need to get past the straight past Radion and Eau Rouge. Not Radion and Eau Rouge, but like something like that. But like, as long as I have the straight line speed, I knew that I was going to be able to like hold him off in like the corners. And once I got to the end of like once I got past Blanchimont, I just kind of like I just knew at that point that I pretty much had it in the bag, and I just needed to like not like mess up the final corner. But I could literally feel my heartbeat, man. I was that nervous.
No, and I wouldn't blame you whatsoever with such a big name kind of in your mirrors as well. But absolutely very well done. A fantastic result, Aaron. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of another eventful WMSC race. Wet weather at Spa. Who knew? What a race that was indeed. Next time we head to Silverstone, which is just a fantastic circuit, one of the all-time greats in 2 weeks' time, and we will see what that brings us. Robin, thank you very much for joining me on this side of the commentary booth this afternoon. It's been great to have you back alongside. Congratulations once again to Lucas Murno and our 2 debutante podium sitters. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you for the next race. Take care.
Goodbye.